Hello and welcome to another video with Liah. Today I'm going to be talking about how to take notes. I'm going to be going over what's called the Cornell note-taking style, and I used this for my introductory biology classes, my introductory and general chemistry classes, and evolution and genetics, and even an economics class. I have found that the Cornell note-taking style has really helped me in courses that have science and multiple choice tests. Now I'm going to be giving an outline of how the Cornell note-taking style works for me. So here in green, this rectangle is going to be the sheet of paper, okay, either lined or blank, that's fine, okay? And then at the top, you want to leave space for a title. After leaving space for the title, you want to draw a vertical line that divides the page into about 1/3 on the left and 2/3 on the right, okay? Just a rough estimate. And then you also want to draw a line at the bottom so that you have some room down there. Alright, so now that you have made your divisions on the page, you want to start out with the title, okay? So your title will go here. This can just be about the topic that is for that lecture or for that reading, okay? And then in the right corner here, you want to include the date, okay? And then the type of information that you are taking notes on. So whether it's a lecture or a reading or a video or an article and so on. Putting a date on your notes is really important because it helps you keep track of when those notes were taken, okay? Especially if you're taking your notes on a blank piece of paper, which means that if they fall out for some reason, then you can still put them back together in the order that you had taken them. So you'll notice that there are 3 divisions on the main page, and each area represents a certain type of information, okay? So let's start with the left side. So on the left side, you're going to be asking questions, okay? Or key terms, like vocabulary, okay? Or bold-faced words. And then you're also going to add instructions, okay? So describe something, okay? Describe a key term or explain, okay? Explain why something is, explain the reasons for something, okay, and so on. You can also draw little graphs or images, and then you can add instructions like describe the figure or explain why the graph goes like this or what is this graph for. You could also put equations here and then ask questions like what is this equation for, what does it describe, what do the variables mean, etc. Okay, so on the left, here, the idea here is to find things that you can answer the question to, all right? Because on the right side, you're going to place your answers, okay? So the answers to those questions and the explanations. You're also going to add the definitions of your key terms and bold-faced terms, okay? You can also draw figures and diagrams here. You could also reverse the process, right? If you say, okay, draw, life cycle of a plant, then on the right you would have the life cycle of a plant drawn out. You can also write your equations on the right side. If you write equations on the right side, that means you would have asked on the left side something like, what is the equation to find so-and-so? And then on the right you would answer that with an equation. On the right side you might also add book pages, right? Reference pages that the professor mentions. Basically, on the right side is the answers to your questions, okay, or the answers to the things that are shown on the left side. And then on the bottom here, you can write a summary of what the page has been about, or you can go ahead and write questions. These questions could be from when you're studying and you get confused on something, and then you just write a question about it so you can ask the instructor later. So what's really great about the Cornell note-taking style is that it serves as your notes and a way to test yourself, like flashcards. So the way this works is that once your page is filled out with your notes, then you want to cover the right side, right, the answer side, with a paper, right? It could be like a blank piece of paper or just something that blocks the answers, right, or the information on the right side. And then you're going to go through the stuff on the left side, right? You're going to read through that. You're going to see the questions and the definitions that you need to explain, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to use another blank sheet of paper, okay? And you can start writing the answers to those questions, or the definitions, or draw the graphs or figures, or write the equations. So basically what you're doing is you're looking at the right side, right, with your terms and your questions, and you're going through that list, okay, until you can confidently answer the questions and describe the definitions, right? So the more independence and more confident you feel about finding the answers to the left side, right, the more prepared for the exam you'll be. So that's how the studying for this works. So you're just taking what you have on the left, and you're just giving as much information as you can about it without looking at the right side. And then of course you want to look at the right side so that you know whether you're right or wrong. And so you can slowly uncover the answers, right, just by sliding the blank piece of paper downwards, and then you can just see if you're right or wrong. And then, if you're not confident on something, you of course can go back and re-ask those questions, right, retest yourself basically. And it's a really good practice for these multiple choice and true and false exams, because that's what you're doing on the exam, right? They're asking questions and you are answering. They're asking more questions and you're going to answer them. And so this Cornell note-taking style is doing that for you. It's giving you terms and definitions and do this and do that, and you're the one going to write down those answers or say them aloud, whichever you want. I do recommend that if there are equations or drawings involved, that you actually draw those out, okay? That you put them on paper so that you can see them, okay? That's what I've done. If there's like an equation in chemistry, right, I've taken a blank sheet of paper on top of the one that I used to cover my answers, and then if it's on the left side asking me what is the equation for like density, right, then I'm like, okay, well, density is mass over volume, and I write that out. So this is the Cornell note-taking style, and the note-taking style that I recommend for science courses that have multiple choice exams or true and false exams, okay? Because this note-taking style is going to prepare you really well for that by basically helping you make your flashcards and your notes at the same time. Another thing I would like to add is that the Cornell note-taking style didn't really work well for me in purely math or purely history classes. Usually in those classes, the problem was that the vertical line would limit my space. So in those classes, I just had the area where I could write the title, the date, and the type of notes I was taking. And then on the bottom, I would leave a little bit of space, right, just so that I could have an area for questions, if not a summary. And in that way, I had enough space to write my rather long explanations in history, or the way how to solve an equation, right? I just had more room here. It is totally possible that you can take Cornell notes with history and math classes. It just didn't work well for me. But the method would be the same, right? You would ask some questions on the left, and then you would leave the answers to that on the right. For example, you could write math questions on the left and then have your process of solving that question on the right, okay? And for history, you could just ask some questions on the left, and on the right, you have your long explanation, okay, and timelines of everything that happened. Another thing that you want to keep in mind when you're writing your notes is to leave space, all right? So that means that whether you are using the Cornell note-taking style or you're just using a blank piece of paper with the title and question area, that you want to leave some space between concepts, okay? So don't crunch everything together. Leave some space so that your notes look more organized, right, and more put together, and so that you have extra room so you can add some explanations or drawings later on if they're needed. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you found it helpful. If you did, remember to subscribe and leave a comment down below. I'll see you next time.